Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the All Four Downs podcast, which is the new and improved Four Downs, Three Counts. And you could catch me in our website at four downs, three counts.com. I'm Obi-Wan, and today's episode, I am reviewing, recapping just a little bit, but actually reviewing my top 25 of the college football leading into week 3, and I tell you, I still have some differences, but it's still early in the season, and I am hopeful that by the time we go through these weeks, that even the AP poll and the coaches poll will actually notice that I'm on point. At least you guys probably will notice that I'm on point, but it's going to be relevant when we get to November for the college football committee when they start their bid and ranking their top 12. But however, my top 25 is this, and there's a lot going on here. So here we go. I'm going to start with 21 to 25. I have Auburn, South Carolina, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and Clemson. All right, Nebraska and Wisconsin both have starting out great. They're new to my top 25. I got to give mad respects. And it's about time that we see some fresh teams in the rankings, not the same old, same old. As far as Clemson, listen, they went down 3 just because other teams were a factor, but Clemson looking suspect right now. South Carolina, they went down, and despite them winning, they're good. It's just other teams were just as good, especially Auburn as well. And therefore, there is what it is. And for South Carolina, look, no doubt, disrespect to them, but they had their flow, but the delay of game because of lightning and everything else, starting at a later time, did kind of reflect on their performance. However, they're still to be reckoned with because soon, as a matter of fact, this Saturday coming up is going to start with South Carolina Gamecocks with their strength of schedule being the most difficult because they go on to play Vanderbilt, Kentucky, LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas and A&M. This is like straight through these weeks and stuff like that. So South Carolina, oh man, they're gonna be hell on wheels, and let's see how they do. Should they be successful, they're probably going to be probably top 5 if they win all their games, right? Well, we'll see about that. Let's move on to 16 to 20. I have Penn State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Arizona, and South Florida. South Florida, brand new, upset alert. They did defeat a top ranked team like Florida. And sad to say, Florida is gone out of the top 25, but now they're in. Okay. Arizona, outstanding game. Notre Dame, okay, did not play. They went down to Michigan, losing their game against Oklahoma. And I got it. They have a freshman quarterback. And, you're still in contention, you're still competing, but you're not at the level of being top 10. Okay. Penn State. I'm just curious to see when is Penn State going to be challenged because the AP and coaches poll got them at number 2. But what have they done to prove themselves? You look at everybody else's schedule, they're scheduling all like championship, type games between the first 2 weeks, but not Penn State. Penn State's schedule is so weak that we have to wait toward the end of the month just to see them play against Oregon. More to follow on that. All right, 11 to 12. I have Miami, the Hurricanes, Washington, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and USC. Okay, I like USC for now. I like Tennessee for now, but Tennessee got a game against Georgia this weekend. Texas A&M remain in the same spot. Washington, they've been winning their games, 2 games. They're looking good so far. All right. Let's see how that goes going down memory lane there, right? But Miami looking sharp with Carson Beck, but I'm still questioning about their defense. I really am. Hopefully, by week 3, we should see the real competitive teams going at it to show their colors. But of late, teams that looked big in week 1 didn't look so well in week 2. Just saying. All right. Moving on to 6 through 10. Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Missouri, LSU, and Texas. Texas don't, they won big. I got it, but they still don't look good. There's so many mistakes. I mean, we talking about and bringing about Texas Longhorns, this and that. They're supposed to do this and that. Yet they didn't show up against Ohio State. And then again, there was a lot going on. And finally, they found their rhythm, but then they backed off. I mean, it was a flip flop going on with the Longhorns. It should have won big easily, but it didn't. LSU, again, I'm questionable. They rumor is that they should be the next national champions. But with Brian Kelly as a head coach, are they really? Is there going to be a bump somewhere down there? I believe so. Still top 10, good. Missouri, great defense. They played very well. But Oklahoma jumped all the way up. They handled their business. Matter of fact, Oklahoma looked like one of those true teams, and it's outshining everyone in the top 25. Ole Miss up there. Can't wait till SEC clash one another so that way we can see the big difference. 1 through 5, very debatable here. Oregon, Ohio State, Florida State, Georgia, and Alabama. Oregon, look, I know that they got new players, half the roster's new and everything else, but I always said you got to trust the coaching staff. You got Dan Lanning, he's doing awesome. And that whole coaching staff, there's no turbulence. They're just going at it. And I feel like these voters and everybody else are just doubting. They want the favorites like Ohio State and Texas. They pushing it for them too to be on top. And it's not going to be the case because the fact that even Ohio State, they got some new half their players are also new. And it's still early in the season, but they're going to show their true colors. The other team that looks fabulous is Florida State. I like Florida State. They're doing a big turnaround. This is a comeback school, all right? A comeback team from being robbed from making to college football playoffs to only win 2 games. And all of a sudden, now Florida State won 2 games so far. They're 2-0. And they're doing an outstanding job. Okay. They continue on to fighting. They're fighting for everything. Georgia, I got it. Georgia 2-0, and their last game against Austin P, there was a delay. Okay. They were rolling, then lightning storm, everything else. They had a delay, and then coming back, it's almost like restarting it all over again. And if you ask a lot of football players that played the game, they will say that usually when where's delay an hour or more, that interrupts the rhythm. That interrupts how they physically fit, how they get ready for the game. And of course, everything started slow again, but eventually they did win. All right. As far as Alabama, a lot of people say, hey, they're overrated, but man, they actually tuned in. And I know there was a weak team, but did they not just tune in and try to correct all the deficiencies that they have done the week prior? I'm not quitting on that. I'm not debating that. I want to see Alabama face another top 25 opponent so that way we could see was there any type of improvements there. All right. But I still got Oregon at number 1, Ohio State at number 2, well deserved. Florida State still deserving. Yeah, I'm a big Georgia fan, yet I don't have them at number 1. But I still feel like Georgia's going to be the SEC champion this year. All right, let's compare to the top 10 of the AP top 25 and the coaches poll here, which again, I had Oregon number 1. The top 25 and the coaches poll both have Ohio State and Penn State as number 1 and number 2. I really disagree. And the fact that the Penn State, yeah, they got all their players and everything else, but they're still mediocre. Like this is the same roster that can't beat Ohio State. This is a team that for the second year in a row, they're not going to play Michigan. Yet Oregon is not going to be the one that's to prove that point, right? But they will play in a couple of weeks here and there. They will. But still, it's a waiting game, and how far can we wait until Penn State actually loses? And then all of a sudden, then you're going to be like, oh, man, they're overrated. Oh, this and that. So that's what I mean. I'm not sold yet. And I didn't even have them in my top 12, but they still got to prove me something, right? Okay, here we go. La, 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 la. I know. But hey, let's look at the real deal here. The fact is that Alabama, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Missouri are not mentioned. Surprising, surprising on that. All right, Oklahoma should be up there. The way they performed this weekend should tell you that their defense. Oh man, I tell you, their defense is strong. But you're not going to recognize that. Hmm. Okay. I can feel the vibe coming from Oklahoma. I'm gonna tell you right there. All right. LSU, you gotta be cautious. Is Texas overrated? Yeah, I believe so. But hey, let's tune into what they really want. Miami has Carson back. Yeah, he looks good. The defense is suspect. They played South Florida this weekend. Okay, after South Florida defeated Florida. But I'm gonna tell you right now that this game is gonna have a different circumstances. And South Florida may have won, but man, it's like you have to like jump 3 times far now to go against Miami. Will they be able to do it? That's questionable. Um, Notre Dame. We got Notre Dame up there. I don't know why, but this weekend is probably the last weekend for Notre Dame to prove themselves. They have to beat the Texas A&M Aggies. If they don't, they don't need to belong in the top 20, as a matter of fact, because of this. This is my reason. They don't play anyone else in their schedule that's really a contention or to build their resume. So this is an important game this Saturday. CJ Carr's a rookie, and being on the road against the 12th man, ooh, that's gonna put a lot of pressure. All right. Also, Illinois ranked number 9 on both the top 25 and coaches poll. Can anybody tell me who they beat? Can anybody tell me? Are we still reflecting back to last year in the bowl game when they beat South Carolina? Please don't do that. No, no, no. They beat Western Illinois. They beat Duke. Who are they? Not in the top 25. And yet they're going to play Western Michigan. I gotta wait a couple of weeks for them to play Indiana, and then I'll see if they're going to be contenders. Other than that, I think some of these teams are prematurely in the top 10, and I guess the reason being is, are they helping other teams to build their resume when they lose? I'm just saying, and I feel like that's what's happening is a political move. It's a statement, but yet, let's see how the college football committee votes in November if they include the head to head or the strength of schedule, supposedly. Let's see. But other than that, again, my top team right now is Oregon until they lose. And I can't wait until they go head to head, Oregon versus Penn State. And prove me wrong. I'm just saying, prove me wrong. I'm loving it. It's good debate. It's good to talk about. And let's see what happens moving on forward. But for week 3, you're going to have to stay tuned to the predictions as Tuesday night. I will give you my top 6 games going in and see what's going to happen this weekend on your favorite podcast platform, the All Four Downs, transitioning to 4 Downs, 3 Counts podcast that's already tuning in here in the YouTube channel. So please subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on your top 25 this week and which games are you looking forward to as we get set for another week of exciting football. Thank you for watching, everyone. Take care. Oh, yeah. Loving it.